Hi guys, thanks for tuning to this episode of the Keegan Times. On this episode we have an awesome guest. We have Natasha Slayton. Natasha is from the very well-known international group G.R.L. with hits such as Ugly Heart, Wild Wild Love and Lightouse. Natasha from G.R.L. has had a lot of success in USA, Europe and Australia with over 150 million streams on Spotify, over 300 million plus views on YouTube, several chart hits which have reached international success, platinum in the UK and 4 times platinum in Australia. They have toured with the likes of Meghan Trainor and have had chart hits with Pitbull and CeeLo Green, to name a few. Natasha is now just releasing her own new single coming off her success with the multi-platinum girl band G.R.L. Natasha has just released her first solo debut song called Love Me Like Me. It's an empowering and uplifting song about rediscovering your true self and the power we all have within. Natasha wrote this song after achieving sobriety and doing a lot of what she refers to as deep healing on so many levels. Feel it to heal it became her mantra, and she has soon discovered that self-love was the answer to everything she had been searching for all along. Welcome, Natasha, and thanks for coming on my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that you wanted to chat. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and I'm extremely excited too and looking forward to it. How's it all been going over there?
It's going pretty good. We're like, things are, I don't like to say we're getting back to normal because I think, hopefully things are changing for the better, but, things are slowly starting to open up again. And, we actually just had our mask mandate lifted and then it was put back on. So, it's interesting, but like more businesses are open now, which is great. And, there's movement. So that's looking good. But I heard you're in lockdown.
Yes, we are. So we've been doing it for 5 weeks and we've got another 4 to go. So
I'm so sorry. Hopefully you'll be out of lockdown soon and hopefully you're keeping safe and your loved ones are all healthy.
Yeah, thank you. And the same goes for you as well. How have you handled, just on a personal, and professional level, the pandemic since it's begun last year as well? Like, how has that affected you?
I feel really grateful and really lucky that, I've known some people that have gotten COVID, but everybody's made it out okay, knock on wood. I actually had it as well. But other than that, like I feel like at the beginning I completely shut down sort of with the world. Like I felt like I got so scared and so terrified that I just, completely shut down. But then, slowly but surely started to feel like I got more creative, started to do things that I was sort of avoiding. I'm very good at busy work and staying productive and doing self-improvement work. So I always like to focus on that. So the pandemic kind of gave me permission to be able to relax and do that instead of stress out and say, oh no, my friends are all out and they're all doing things out in the world. But like, I'm such a hermit naturally. So it was kind of nice to be able to like take a deep breath, take a step back and sort of allow myself to have that space.
That's incredible. All right, let's just jump straight into it. Tell me about your story. So tell me about obviously your life growing up and how it's all begun for you.
Oh, you want all of it? Okay. Interestingly enough, I'm like, I still struggle with talking about myself and my life story, but, stop me if any parts interest you and you want to like know anything else. So I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and my dad is a comedian and an actor, and my mom was an interior designer, and she did mostly interior designing for like herself and us and her friends and things like that, but she also designed and manufactured clothing, which was really awesome because I got to grow up and have like all the clothes that I wanted at my disposal, which was really nice. But yeah, I started in the entertainment industry when I was really young. I started singing lessons and writing songs when I was like 9. Probably before that, but really like got serious about it when I started studying music at that age. And I actually started acting professionally around the same time. I begged my parents to get into the industry, and they were really hesitant because they knew, like what could happen to child actors and child entertainers. And so they couldn't really deny that I just really wanted this. And I promised them I would continue to get straight A's and I wouldn't get a big head about me. So they finally caved and let me. I acted a lot professionally when I was younger, especially in like my, preteens and teens. And then I started performing around LA, doing my music and at all the local hotspots and was always dancing as well and taking lots of classes and things like that. But yeah, so I've always been in the entertainment industry. And then when I was around 23, I joined the girl group G.R.L, which was actually initially supposed to be Pussycat Dolls 2.0. And the name sort of shifted and changed over time when they realized, these are different girls that are in this group, and this has a totally different feel from Pussycat Dolls. So it became G.R.L. See, I'm the worst with talking about my story, like the worst of just spouting out random facts.
Well, that's wonderful, and that's incredible. Actually, let's just talk about G.R.L. Tell me about that journey, what that was like, and how I guess the specifics of it transpired. So I did see that you were part of the Pussycat Dolls, and you were going to go in that way, but then obviously the name changed. How was that whole journey?
The journey for me has been incredible. I'm so thankful for everything G.R.L has brought to my life. Good and bad, because there's been so many learning experiences involved. But I grew up like being a huge fan of like the Spice Girls and the Pussycat Dolls and Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, and I loved a lot of like the blues and R&B and Motown and rock and roll and all that too. But I definitely was a teeny bopper at heart and loved all the like pop music. And so I actually had been dating a dancer at the time when I first got asked to audition for G.R.L or Pussycat Dolls 2.0. And one of his friends was Kenny Wormald, who is now married to Lauren Bennett, one of the members of G.R.L, but back then they were just dating as well. And so he had mentioned to her that I was a singer and that I was a dancer, and she ended up looking me up and watched all my stuff, and she was really really blown away, which I'm like so thankful that she even took the time to watch my stuff. And she ended up texting me one day and was like, "Hey, do you want to meet with Robin Anton, who I'd known was the creator of the Pussycat Dolls. I'd been a huge fan for so long." She's like, "Do you want to meet with Robin Anton, Larry Rudolph, who had started and managed Britney Spears' career, and Ron Fair, who had discovered Christina Aguilera and been one of her first producers way back in the day." And so I knew who these people were, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are the people that are behind so many of my favorite artists. Like, what do you mean? Of course I want to come meet with them. So I think within like a few days of her sending that text message, my entire life was like on the road to insane change. Because after that, we sort of hit the ground running lightning fast. I think a year later, we were recording with Max Martin and Dr. Luke, who are some of the biggest pop producers in the entire world. Also people that I'd, listened to for a really long time and had wanted to work with for a really long time. And so, it was pretty surreal. It was kind of like all the things I'd been visualizing and dreaming about for so many years were coming to fruition. And even down to like, I'd known who Lauren was from Paradiso Girls. And I actually think you said earlier that G.R.L had a song with CeeLo Green, but it was actually only Lauren Bennett. So just wanted to clarify that. I was like, did we do a song with CeeLo? I think I would have remembered.
That's on the pub list, right?
Love it. I love it. There's always like random things on the internet. I'm like, did we do that? No, but so I was always a fan of hers. And actually Paula, who was another member of G.R.L, she was an incredible dancer. She was on So You Think You Could Dance. And I followed her career for a long time. So I knew who she was. And it was just really cool because I was brought in with such an incredible team. And it was very nerve-wracking at first. Like, I was very willing to just sort of be in the background, like clapping my hands and clapping and dancing along. I was like, I don't even need to sing. I don't even need to dance. Like, whatever you want me to do, like, I'll do it. But just joking, of course. But like, I really, was so grateful to be there and so hungry for the experience. So it was really amazing to watch how it all came together. And then, we just sort of hit the ground running. Like, we soon were, we had a song with Pitbull, which was incredible because he was also one of my favorite rappers for so long. Like, I'd been, a fan of his since before he was really mainstream, because as a dancer, like, he'd done some really good hip hop music that I just loved dancing to. So having a song with him and then going to the Playboy Mansion to film part of the music video was just huge because I was a huge fan of like Playboy. And yeah, there were like a lot of incredible opportunities, that we got, and just so many amazing experiences. And of course having like 4 best friends, 5 of us all together, but like getting to feel that camaraderie and have that sisterhood was something I'd never experienced as an only child growing up. So it was an incredible experience.
That's incredible. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That sounds amazing.
Absolutely.
What was what was it like working with Pitbull? Like, yeah, that's amazing too. Like, yeah, I love his music as well. So.
Yeah, Pitbull's incredible. He's a really smart man. He's so driven. He's so motivated. He's full of wisdom. He was always giving us different pieces of advice, and I actually can't remember. Like, there was one thing he said that we'd been taking with us, and I have like the world's worst memory, so I'm like totally slipping my mind right now, but I get nervous with these things, so I'm sorry. But he was so incredible to work with, such a nice guy. So we shot half of the music video for Wild Wild Love with Pitbull in LA at the Playboy Mansion, and then we got surprised one day in rehearsal, and they were like, "Surprise, we're doing a day 2 and we're going to Miami." So we got to shoot in Miami at this gorgeous mansion called the Vizcaya Mansion. It's now like a museum because it's a really, really old sort of, almost like a castle in a way. We got to film there, and then, Pitbull took us out on his yacht afterwards, which is pretty crazy. Like, I don't think I realized what was happening while it was happening because it was all going so fast. You know what I mean? But now I look back and just think like, wow, the experiences we had were just incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, let's move away from that for a second. Tell me about, obviously you had a serious illness too, and you had drug and alcohol addiction. Talk to me about that.
Well, I was born with hepatitis C. When my mom was about 15 or 16, she was diagnosed with scoliosis, really debilitating scoliosis, and had to have metal rods put into her back. And when she had the metal rods, she had to have blood transfusions. And they didn't know back then to check for hep C. So that's how she contracted it. And when she gave birth to me, I ended up contracting hep C and didn't actually discover it until I was like 14 or 15 when, so I've always been really, really healthy, like really conscious of like what I put into my body, always working out, sleeping well. And I went to film camp one summer, and we were just having so much fun that like we were like sneaking alcohol and like eating really poorly and like sleeping like 4 hours a night, if that. And so it was a shock to my system, and it sort of triggered the hep C, which I think had been lying dormant in my body for so long. And ever since then, I've just really struggled with a lot of different things, whether it be, weight or depression or skin conditions, brain fog. There's lots of different negative effects that hep C has had on me. And so I've just, had to work a lot on my health. But then I did get into drugs and alcohol in my mid 20s, after I'd gone through a really, really bad breakup. And I just didn't at the time have the tools that I needed to get through it in any other way, or I didn't know how else to get through it. So I turned to drugs and alcohol. And that's sort of what helped me cope, and helped me anesthetize to all the feelings that I didn't know how to deal with. And of course that was like even worse for my hep C, because with hep C, it like really affects your liver and a lot of other organs, and specifically the liver. And you're never supposed to drink alcohol. You're not really supposed to have caffeine or fried foods or like anything that so many people like to consume, just as in regular life. So I've always had to be extra careful. But then with the drugs and alcohol, I mean, that just took like a huge, huge, huge toll on my health. And even without the hep C, the amount of drugs and alcohol that I did I'm actually surprised that I'm alive, to be perfectly honest with you. There's a lot of times I think I maybe shouldn't have made it. But I'm so thankful to be here. I'm still dealing with the repercussions, from doing that to myself, but I think that I'm in a really good place now, and I'm really, really happy to be sober, which is amazing. But my health is still like kind of an up and down sort of cycle. I've been detoxing for a few years now, and just really trying to get my health back on track and heal.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you're like an amazing person, and you're doing amazing things. So yeah, well done. It's not easy, so I definitely appreciate being so open about that as well. So.
Of course, thank you. I mean, anything that might help someone else. I feel so disconnected, sort of, from that person that I was, not disconnected, I should say, but like I just feel light years ahead of where I was back then when I was going through all of that. So I'm happy to talk about it. And I feel like if my story could help or inspire anyone else out there, then, by all means, I'm an open book.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about your own music and your great, wonderful new song. I actually listened to it a couple of times. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, talk to me about it. Tell me about the process. What was the inspiration behind it?
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because I've always been doing solo music, even simultaneous to G.R.L. And it never really felt right to release any of my stuff, not just because we were so busy with G.R.L. for a while, but also I never felt like I'd found a song that could perfectly express who I was. And I don't really know how to put my finger on it, but I never felt like I found my sound as a solo artist until now. And when I went to the studio, I got connected with this incredible producer named Lennon Leppert through my singing coach, who's also amazing, Dean Shepard, little shout out. And I think the first time that we had done a writing session, we came up with a song, which is so crazy because normally, you'll do a bunch of writing sessions and sometimes you get some good things out of it. Sometimes you don't get anything. And usually it takes at least a few times with working with someone before you come up with a song that you might kind of like. But as we were working on this, I got chills from the beginning. I knew within a few minutes, I was like, whoa, this song is so perfect for me. This is exactly what I need to be writing and doing. And, I'd gone in, I normally come into a writing session with at least a partial song or some melodies or whatever, but I just came in with a few concepts. And there was this one concept that, was inspired by someone who really helped me during the beginning stages of my sobriety. And what she'd said to me was, sober was the feeling I was searching for all along. And that really stuck with me because it spoke so loudly to me because I knew of the tools available beyond, anesthetizing yourself with drugs and alcohol, which is such a synthetic form of trying to access the type of happiness and love that you want to feel. It's just very fake. It's fleeting and actually makes everything so much worse in the long run. And so I went in with this concept and sort of from there, this song blossomed. And the first line of the song is, I was wasting time looking for a feeling I could never find until I started healing. And I really have never related more to any line of any one of my songs than I do this one. And I'm just so excited that this is the first official song I'm releasing, because I feel like it really speaks to who I am. I feel like it really tells my story. And because I've waited so long to release a song, I knew I wanted to come out with an important message. I knew I wanted to come out with something that could just really set the stage for who I am as a person and who I am as an artist. I'm really proud of this song. And that's hard for me to say because music that I've made in the past, not talking about G.R.L, but talking about on a solo level, solo music I've made in the past hasn't always made me feel proud. There's always something oh, I don't like my vocal performance, or oh, this doesn't really match the sound I'm going for, or maybe this isn't the message I really want to put out. I thought I did, but it's not the perfect first song. And so with this, I just feel all the way around really, really happy to have been able to put out the song.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. You should be extremely proud because it's an amazing song and you're doing amazing stuff. So well done. What inspires you daily? What gets you motivated? What pushes you?
Woo! I have this hunger in my soul. I do not know where it comes from. I mean, I'm a Leo, so I'm super fiery just by nature. But it sounds cliche. I get my inspiration from absolutely everywhere, from the seemingly most mundane things to, the most obvious things. But I don't know what it is, but there's just something inside me that just always wants me to keep going. I'm so hungry to learn. I wish there were more hours in a day and that I could just pause time because there's so many things that I want to do and so many things I want to accomplish. And I think, growing up, part of that might have been more, I don't want to say ego based, just feeling okay, I have to, prove myself or I have to do this so that I can do this. And I've always been very passionate, so I don't really fully want to say that, but now I feel like I'm in a place where I'm just so hungry for that growth, for that self-growth, and I'm so excited to just be here on Earth and having this Earth experience and, being able to do so much. So I feel really lucky and grateful that I have that inside me that just keeps me going. Not always easy. Sometimes I feel like the little train from Dumbo, the one that goes, I think I can, I think I can. And he's just like barely making it up the hill. I actually feel like that a lot of days. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I still trying so hard? Why am I doing so many things? But I think that's sort of the natural ebb and flow of things. You'll feel like a little bit low, and then it's kind of like a roller coaster, and you feel a little bit high. And I try to stay a little bit more balanced these days in my emotions. But yeah, I just feel like I just gotta keep going. Gotta keep doing what I love. You know what I mean? I think when you really love the things you're doing, it's easy to just stay motivated and stay inspired. And the thought that like maybe my story can help someone out there or multiple people out there also really keeps me going. Because I feel like I have a lot of things I can share that might help people.
Yeah, for sure. It's really insightful and it's really impressive too. Like definitely a lot of people that would resonate and can relate to that. So yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Doing obviously a bit of traveling with G.R.L. Where was your favourite places to go and perform, and what are some of the concerts or wherever you've played at that's really stuck out for you that you can remember?
Well, I love Australia. Let's get that straight. We have such a awesome fan base in Australia, so thank you guys so much. Yeah, and I definitely feel like, I actually felt like one of my favorite performances was in New York for Good Morning America. It just felt like such a connected performance, but it's really bittersweet for me because it's also the last time that we got to perform with Simone. And so, it's like a bittersweet performance for me. I really loved that one. And then I also loved getting to go to Dubai and Vietnam, but that's also bittersweet for me because we didn't get to go there with Simone, which would have been, so much even better than the experience already was if we could have had our girl with us.
Yeah, for sure. How did that affect you? Obviously, it's not an easy thing to talk about. How did that affect you personally? Obviously, Simone and everything there.
I'm still processing to this very day because we were all best friends. We were all like sisters. And on top of that, living our dreams together, and so losing her was definitely one of the most difficult things I've ever dealt with. Like I said, it's really hard to still process it to this day. And, I don't know. I went through a really dark period after losing her. And, not long after I actually lost my mom as well. So there were quite a few years of solid grieving, and still grieving. And yeah, it's really hard to say like how that affected me because it also showed me that you really never know what someone is going through. And it's really important to pay attention. It's really important. And I always think like, there's always going to be what ifs. You know what I mean? What if I did that? What if I said that? And, I don't know if anything could have changed the outcome, but I do go back and think like, wow, if I had not been so consumed with my own issues, if I'd not been doing drugs and drinking alcohol, like would I have been able to change something? Would I have done something differently? Would I have been inspired because I would have been more connected to myself? Would I have been inspired to say or do something differently? And would that have changed what happened? But I think we'll always be wondering. And I think part of me will always be grieving as well. And, I do feel her all around me though. I know everyone has their own beliefs, but I feel her energy very strongly. So as much as like the human part of me is still trying to figure out and make heads and tails of everything, I just feel her so strongly. And it's a very comforting feeling. And I feel like she's always there, like supporting me and cheering me on. And at least that's what I believe and what I feel. So.
Yeah, sure. Wow. Yeah. I know it's not easy to talk about, and definitely can relate to obviously what you're saying there, because and that's extremely emotional. If you're 18 again and you could change anything in your life, so you could go back to being 18 or 19, what would you change or could you change if you could?
There's so many things. So I always think about this because I'm always like, oh my gosh, if I could only go back and know what I know now. I could say like I wouldn't do drugs and alcohol. Like I would have, tried to say and do things to, try to change the outcome with Simone. I would try to like help my mom so that she didn't pass away. Like there's so many things I would change. And I also feel like I would have loved to have gone back to like enjoy the journey and enjoy the present moment so much more, because I was always like, sort of chronically stressed out and looking to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and not really enjoying the moment. And you don't realize when you're in it, like how fast the time goes. You always think at that age you're going to have like all the time in the world, but I think back to 18 and I'm like, that feels like a couple of years ago, like at most, So, but at the same time, there's so many things I wouldn't change, because it's like, if I have to go back and sacrifice what I learned from these things in favor of being 18 again, then I wouldn't do it. But if I could go back and take the lessons with me, then yeah, I definitely would. Definitely.
Of course. What does the future look like for Natasha? And I believe G.R.L is reforming again. You guys are moving forward, and
we're trying. We're trying.
Okay.
So right now I'm actually in school and doing solo music, and we're also trying to get G.R.L up and running. It's a bit more challenging this time around because we don't have a record label and we're doing everything ourselves. And Lauren's a full-time mom now, and Emmeline is in Canada, and the visa is like insanely expensive. Oh my gosh. It's so expensive. So there's, a lot of challenges, but we're doing the best we can with the tools we have available to us. So the goal is to keep going with G.R.L. It's definitely felt like there's a lot of unfinished business there. So there'll always be a special place for G.R.L in my heart. So yeah, I think as long as I'm alive, I'll want to be like continuing with G.R.L. So we'll see where that ends up. Hopefully it'll keep going well.
Well, you will, because you've already done amazing. You've done incredible. Your new song's amazing too. So you're definitely on a great trajectory.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
So do I. You're amazing. Natasha, thank you for coming on my podcast. I do appreciate it. I wish you all the best in the future and everything you're doing. And thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you.
For sure, 100%. We'll keep in touch.
It sounds good.